What's good, Cubers? It's your boy Matt, and it's Card of the Week time. This week's Card of the Week is a card by request. Let's get started. The card of the week this week is Soulherder. For 1 and Azureus, you get a creature spirit 1/1. Whenever a creature is exiled from the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on Soulherder. At the beginning of your end step, you may exile another target creature you control, then return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. Soulherder is the quintessential blink monster we've all been waiting for. Well, okay, I've been waiting for. I'll own it. Blink is a freaking cool archetype. And the thing I like about Soulherder is it has all the blink stuff stapled to his card. He blinks the creatures, he gets value off of the blink, so all you need is another decent permanent on the battlefield worth blinking to start accruing value and building a relatively decent body on the board all at the same time. The fact that he's in Azureus gives him a lot of really cool options to blink. You can blink cards like Cloudkin Seer to draw a card. If one card isn't good enough for you, you can blink Mole Drifter and draw 2. Or if you don't want your opponent to play Magic ever again, you can blink a card like Mana War and bounce their creatures back to their hands because, you know, boys and girls, you don't need friends, you need a Mana War. And if blinking in blue isn't good enough for you, might I recommend blinking white stuff like Sun Titan for Recursion, Palace Jailer, Cloud Goat Ranger. You can blink Cloud Goat every turn and make 3/1/1s every time you do it. And if you thought blinking Mana War was good, blink the Palace Jailer. Exile their stuff every time he enters the battlefield. Oi, so good. Hurts so good. You don't need friends. That's right. Blink. More blinkings. Combine this with a card like Ephemerate and suddenly, like, you're enabling a blink value deck inside of your cube, which is kind of nice. And there are lots of other blink cards like Momentary Blink or Ghostly Flicker that you could play with this card, although I don't know that they're great. That's a conversation for later. Let's see if we can get Soulherder inside the Azureus guild. I mean, it can't be that stacked. How good can the cards in that guild be? Oh, dang. Dim's good cards. So Teferi is probably the best walker in Azureus, and that card is just dumb in control decks. Fractured Identity, not enough people are playing this card. This card is so mean. I'm gonna exile your Grizzlebrand and make a copy of it on my side. Yeah, Fractured Identity is fantastic in a control deck. And Geist of St. Traff, oh, Geist. I'm hexproof and I'm gonna make angels and beat you to death. This card works wonders as a Azureus finisher, or in a tempo deck it can work out really nicely. But that's okay, these are just the tier 1 cards. I'm sure we can get Soulherder in tier 2. How good can those cards be? Dang, Dim's good cards. So we got Baby Teferi in this group. Yep, he's pretty decent. Yeah, card's good. Spell Queller, I love Spell Queller. Card is super spicy. Flashing it in and exiling your opponent's stuff. It's like a O-ring stapled to a creature, stapled to a counter spell. It's really weird, but I like it. Reflector Mage, yeah. I'm gonna bounce that back to your hand and you can't play it next turn. So Reflector Mage is probably the weaker of these. I don't know, he might be better than Spell Queller. It's touch and go. I just like the Spell Queller better. I'll just own it. I like him better. The problem now is that we're 6 card deep into the guild, and nobody plays 6 cards in a single guild unless they're really trying to push like a Ravnica themed cube, and we're kind of tight on space for Soulherder. Maybe it can break into the next tier of cards? That could happen, except that the next tier of cards has Supreme Verdict, Sphinx's Revelation, and Detention Sphere in it. Yeah, the Azureus guild, boys and girls, it's just stacked. It's just straight stacked with amazing cards. And I think that's the real problem for Spell Queller is if you're playing him in your Azureus section, you have to know that you're playing a slightly suboptimal card, and that there are certainly going to be more powerful Azureus choices you could be playing. But I would argue maybe not as many fun choices as you could be playing, because Soulherder is a lot of fun to play. Blink is a lot of fun to play. The problem with Blink is that a lot of the cards aren't great, so you need to just play the good Blink cards. Cards like Soulherder, cards like Ephemerate, and kind of avoid other cards like Ghostly Flicker that aren't just that. They're just not that good. So maybe you avoid the cards like that. So I think you can play Soulherder in your cube. You just have to know that it's not a staple, that you're playing it for fun, that you're trying to push blink, and then I think it works out. The card's only $1.03, so feel free to pick a copy up and playtest it in your cube. It requires a little setup. You have to have him and something worth blinking on the battlefield, which requires a little bit of build around. It's not bad, but you have to know that sometimes he's not going to be blinking the way you want him to blink. I think the card is a solid B because this is an archetype card. It's not a great Azureus staple. It's not going to crack into that group if you're playing solely based on power. But if you're interested in spicing up your cube just for a little while, slide in Soulherder, Ephemerate, play some blink stuff, live the dream. Blink Palace Jailer. That is the dream, boys and girls. You're welcome, alright? Cube achievement unlocked. That's going to do it for today, Cubers. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe. If there's a card you want us to look at for Card of the Week, be sure to leave it in the comments below. Follow us on the Twitter @cubefortwo, and as always, and until next time, shuffle up and keep cubing, my friends.